you've clicked on this video because you want to know how to get straight A's effortlessly, then you are in the right space. I recently just got back all my A-level results and I ended up getting straight A's and an A star in my EPQ. And I also received offers from universities such as University of Southampton, Exeter, Bristol. And now I'm studying law in the University of Southampton. So this is my ultimate guide to helping you get straight A's in your A-levels. Let's get right into it. The first thing is you have to rewire your mindset. When people tell you that they've been studying for 10 hours a day or they've been studying until 4 a.m. at night, that is not a flex. You shouldn't be aspiring to tire yourself out. You shouldn't be aspiring to spend endless hours studying when the same work could have been done in 2 hours. I personally never went over 6 hours a day of studying. On a daily basis, I'd do an average of 2 to 3 hours a day. What you've got to put in your mind is focusing on the quality of the revision or the studying that you are doing over the quantity. 10 hours flicking through a textbook, highlighting notes isn't going to be effective. But 2 hours going through flashcards and using active recall methods is going to be effective because you're actually putting your brain into work and you are forcing your brain to actively recall all that information. Along with adapting the right mindset comes surrounding yourself with the right people. If you are surrounded by people who constantly tell you that they've not done any revision today, that they are super demotivated, all they did was sleep all day or play games, that is going to crush your own motivation. There's nothing worse than other people bringing you down. So make sure that you are surrounded by others who tell you and who engage with you when it comes to studying, revising, getting ready and preparing for exams. So surround yourself with people who are not only like-minded, who are not only striving towards the same goals as you, but who are also better than you. Because as humans, we want to be the best that we possibly can. And if we're surrounded by people who are better than us, that puts us under pressure, that puts us under stress. It's an innate response to want to be as good as people around you. You're not going to want to be left behind, failing your A-levels whilst all your friends are getting A's and A stars. So it forces you to get up and start working. The next thing is Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law is a concept which argues that work expands to fill the time allocated for its completion. So if you give yourself a whole Saturday to revise psychology, you're going to keep procrastinating that whole Saturday because you're going to keep telling yourself, oh, I still have the rest of the day to revise. It's only 1 p.m. I still have all the way until the evening to revise. You have to be efficient with your time. Give yourself specific time slots. Give yourself a limit of how much time you are going to take to do that certain task. So for example, if you have to do psychology revision that day, tell yourself from 10 a.m. to 12, I am going to be doing psychology revision. That gives you 2 hours. That stops you from making any excuses because you know you have to get it done within that time slot. And also make sure to add other pieces of revision in throughout the day. So for example, 10 till 12 psychology, 1 till 2 business, 2 till 4 law. So that way you know you have to get psychology done from 10 till 12 because you won't have time to do it later. That puts time pressure on you. And when you have pressure, you are much more likely to get things done. However, a key point is don't be unrealistic. If you know you can't do something within an hour or 2 hours, give yourself enough time to be able to do it, because if you set yourself unrealistic goals, that's going to be as demotivating as it would be if you just decided to procrastinate and not do the task. So what is the best study technique? How everybody learns is different and unique to that person. But these are the best study techniques which worked for me and are scientifically proven to be effective. The first one is the Feynman technique. So the Feynman technique in its simplest form is teaching another person the concept you are trying to learn and attempting to explain it to another person as if you were explaining it to a 5-year-old. And my favorite combination was using the Feynman technique with a whiteboard. Oh my gosh, that is an unbeatable combo. If you don't have a whiteboard already, get a whiteboard. So I love to literally just stand up in my room and write on my whiteboard as if I was teaching a concept to somebody, and that would literally make things stick in my brain and I would remember them like forever, because I'd be creating these neuronal pathways within my brain that are easy to understand because I've simplified the concept so much using the Feynman technique. And also the process of writing it down with a whiteboard pen and doing it in different colors just enhances that ability to remember that information. Another great thing that I love to do on my whiteboard was blurting. There's different methods to blurting. The first one is you can have a look through all your notes, then close the book and blurt, write down everything you just remember from what you have read. Or the other technique is don't read any notes, just go in blindly and write down everything from memory that you know on a certain concept, topic, subject, module. It's so good because you are seeing what you already know, and not only does that allow you to pinpoint certain topics that maybe you don't need to focus too much on because you already know them quite good, but it also allows you to identify the ones you don't know. This is the key thing here. And my favorite thing to do after blurting is to go in with a different color pen and add in any information that I've missed, and highlights to my mind that I don't know that information, and it will be more likely to then stay after writing in a different color. Next is active recall. Now, active recall has been scientifically proven to be one of the most effective ways to learn anything. So active recall is essentially where you quiz yourself and you continuously test yourself until you are strong and confident in that topic. Ways that you can do this is through flashcards, making quizzes, making questions. I loved using Quizlet. Having digital flashcards made it so much easier for me. I didn't have to constantly keep buying paper flashcards, and I could also travel with them anywhere. If I was out and about and I had time to revise, I could just pull up the Quizlet app on my phone and just start doing some flashcards. I did law, psychology, and business for my A-levels. If you do any of those topics, I will leave a link to my Quizlet in the description and you can have a look at the flashcards that I made. But the reason why active recall works is because you are actively getting involved with the information. You aren't just blatantly reading notes from your notepad or from a textbook. You are actually engaging your brain. You are using these neuronal pathways that your brain has formed in order to remember something again and again to try and retrieve that knowledge. And that process of rehearsing it, of repeating it, and constantly using that information is what puts it into your long-term memory and makes it much more likely that it's actually going to stay in there. Also, that constant rehearsal, that constant repetition makes it easier for you to be able to recall the information within an exam scenario. And the last thing is past papers and past paper questions. An absolute must. If you are using all these techniques, if you are memorizing all the content, it's not going to help unless you know exam technique. And how do you practice exam technique? By doing past papers. Look at past papers from your subjects. Do them, complete them, mark them. Look at the examiner reports. The examiner reports are literally cheat sheets on how to get better at answering these exam questions. Because at the end of the day, you may know the knowledge, but if you don't know how to answer the actual questions in your paper, you're screwed. You actually have to be able to apply the knowledge you have learned to these past papers and to these questions, and this constant retrieval and usage of the information that you've just learned through active recall or flashcards and putting them into action by completing past papers is what consolidates that information. By the time it came around to my actual A-levels, I had completed all of the past papers on business, psychology, and law at least 4 times or even 5 times because of how important and critical this past paper practice is. My last thing for being successful and having the chance of getting straight A's in your A-levels is taking care of yourself. You need to be taking the time to take care of your body. You need to be eating the right foods. You need to be drinking. You need to be exercising. Very key emphasis on exercise. The reason why exercise is so important, especially during exam season, is because it actually increases the neuroplasticity in your brain. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to be able to adapt its structure and form new neuronal pathways. When you exercise, your brain's ability to form these neuronal pathways increases by about 20 to 30%. Now, this effect does wear off after about 2 hours of doing the exercise, but if you exercise and then those 2 hours after you exercise you spend doing revision, your brain is going to be 20% more efficient in being able to retain that information and actually store it in your brain. But everything that I just said in this video will be useless if you don't prioritize sleep. Sleep is the foundation to having a healthy body and a healthy mind. If you are not getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night, your brain is not going to be in the position to be able to retain any type of information. During sleep, your brain actually takes everything that you have learned from short-term memory and stores it into long-term memory. So without this process, it is going to be really difficult for you to retain any type of information. Not only this, sleep is also key for motivation. If your body is tired, if you are tired, you are much more likely to procrastinate, to be unmotivated, to not want to work as hard. So yeah, I hope this video helps you out and I wish you the best in your A-level exams, whether this is A-level, GCSE, maybe you're already in university. I've just started uni and I'm dedicated to being consistent on my YouTube channel again, so I will be posting weekly YouTube videos. If you have any recommendations or videos you'd like to see from me, please comment them down below and make sure you click that red button down below which says subscribe and put the notification bell on to make sure you don't miss any of my future uploads.